Yesterday, Sayadaw explained that the person who has 3 stages of viriya, effort, is called a yogi. A yogi has to practice from few and simple objects, whatever they arise, with sustained mindfulness, to gain concentration and to develop knowledge. And yogi has to initiate the effort. In the beginning of the practice, yogi is not mature yet. During the practice, yogi faces difficulty, and when facing difficulty, the mind tends to withdraw, the mind tends to flinch back, and laziness creeps in. In order to overcome laziness, the person has to boost up the effort in order to overcome it. So in order to overcome the difficulty, yogis have to step up the effort, which is called nikama dhatu. Asserting nikama dhatu, step up effort, to overcome the difficulty. When the effort is stepped up, yogi knows the object with much comfort, and the viriya effort become balanced and gain momentum. Yogi has to practice further so as to reach nibbana, one's goal. Asserting effort stage by stage till one reaches one's goal, nibbana, one will be a true yogi. Asserting effort continuously in order to attain nibbana, the person is called a true yogi. The 3 stages of effort is called yoga. Initial effort, stepped up effort, effort stage by stage till one reaches one's goal. These 3 stages are called yoga. Whether it is a man or a woman, monk or a lay, who asserts these 3 stages of effort is called a yogi. Why does one need to assert effort? One needs to assert effort in the practice to develop mindfulness and to develop concentration. In noting the object, yogi has to aim the noting mind onto the object, asserting effort, so that yogi gains knowledge stage by stage. It is called bhavana. Bhavana means mental development practice in order to develop the mind and the knowledge. Practicing with aim and effort, knowledge develops stage by stage, till finally one attains nibbana by gaining path and fruition knowledge. In order to increase sati and samadhi, mindfulness and concentration, day by day, yogi has to assert effort. Yogi needs to have courageous effort. In order to prevent, avoid, cure, suppress, and uproot gross, medium, and refined form of defilement, yogi has to assert courageous effort. When the yogi has overcome difficulties, unpleasant sensations, yogi becomes even more courageous. In the beginning, when the yogi faces difficulties such as pain and ache, yogi tends to draw back, wanting to move, wanting to shift, wanting to give up. So such kind of withdrawing, becoming slack, wanting to shift, move, wanting to give up, is cowardness. By noting diligently and overcoming the difficulties, yogi becomes courageous, and yogi can even challenge the pain. Let the pain come, I will notice. So courageous effort is needed in order to prevent, avoid, cure, suppress, and uproot gross, medium, and refined form of defilement. Yogi needs courageous effort not only to develop wholesomeness, but also to refrain from unwholesomeness. Yogi is a person who is endowed with courageous effort in refraining from unwholesomeness, developing wholesomeness, and developing knowledge. So the definition of the yogi is Bhavanaya Yukta Payosataya Yogi, meaning that whether it is a monk or a lay or man or woman, whoever exerts effort in order to develop the mind and the knowledge is called a yogi. Other people who see a true yogi practicing diligently in order to develop the mind and the knowledge, other person who sees true yogi will feel glad to be seeing diligent yogi. But if the yogi is not paying attention in noting the objects are arising, but the mind is elsewhere, wandering, imagining, then such kind of person is not a true yogi. Other people who see a yogi who is not practicing diligently, then the others who see will not feel happy to see the person who is practicing in an easy-going manner, gazing, not being mindful, and so on. Other people who see such kind of person not practicing diligently will recognize such person as a cowardly person who cannot face to battle with the defilement. And also others will think such person as a coward person in practicing to develop knowledge. So the meditation teacher will be seeing such kind of person not practicing diligently, and the meditation teacher will have to give guidance and instruction to keep mindfulness continuous as possible. So when the yogi receives instruction and guidance from the meditation teacher to practice diligently, to be mindful continuously, understanding these guidance and instructions, yogi will practice diligently, and the yogi will improve hour by hour, day by day. Such kind of yogi who practices according to the guidance and instruction diligently, who improves hour by hour, day by day, is a high-class yogi. And it will be very rejoicing to see such kind of diligent yogi who progresses even within a few days. In order to progress one's practice in Sila, Samadhi, Panya, morality, concentration, and wisdom, within a short time, the meditation teachers are encouraging the yogis to practice, and the meditation teachers are giving appropriate guidance and instructions during the discussion with the yogi. As much the yogi practices according to the guidance and instruction, accurately, respectfully, meticulously, yogi is developing the three trainings, Sila, Samadhi, and Panya, morality, concentration, and wisdom. Yesterday, Charaji explained how each of the loadings consists of three trainings, Sila, Samadhi, and Panya. Practicing Sila Sikha, morality training, one refrains from transgression, hurting others. During the practice, one does not have to refrain from transgression, but one has the Cetana, volition, to refrain from transgression, even if one has the circumstances to transgress. One has the volition to refrain from such kind of transgression. And thus, there will be Cetana Sila. In the practice, yogi has to restrain, especially the eyes and the ears. So among the 6 doors, eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and touch, yogi has to restrain, especially the eyes and the ears. So in this way, there is also Samvara Sila, morality in the form of restraint. Having Cetana Sila and Samvara Sila, the person's body and speech will be pure, refraining from killing, stealing, sexual misconduct. And as a yogi also refrains from sexual activities even with one's own partner. Yogi is refraining from sex. So yogi's body and speech become pure and clean. And also, yogi's speech is pure and clean. And in the practice, there involves both Cetana Sila and Samvara Sila. When having to have conversation, the person talks only what is correct, and also talks freely, tenderly, so that the person's verbal action is also pure and clean. So in this way, yogi's body and speech will be pure, clean, gentle, tamed, and cultured. Being blameless in bodily behavior and verbal behavior is the true culture. When one's physical behavior and verbal behavior is pure, clean, tame, and gentle, free from transgression, it will be lovable, and it is true culture. Based on sila, morality, one's body and speech will be pure and clean, and one gains the happiness having the purity of body and speech. The happiness one gains from purity of one's body and speech excels many times than the happiness one gains from sensual pleasure. The happiness one can gain from sensual pleasure come in contact with the sense object, it is dirty and polluted. The kind of happiness one gains from the practice is pure and clean, and it is noble. By purifying one's body and speech, one will not be transgressing, one will not be hurting others, and thus one gains the benefit of purity as well as others do not get hurt. So there will be mutual benefit, and it is very satisfying to gain such kind of benefit by being pure and clean in body and speech. So in this way, as a yogi, there is Cetana Sila, as well as restraining one's faculties, and there will also be Samvara Sila. Noting the presently arising object with aim and effort, when mindfulness develops, the mind is guarded, protected, away from defilements. As much there is mindfulness, the mind will be calm, collected, and thus there will not be distraction, and the mind is free from the agitation of raga, dosa, moha. And one develops viriya, sati, samadhi. In order to develop viriya, sati, samadhi, effort, mindfulness, and concentration, one has to note every arising object with diligent effort. And if the defilements arise, yogi has to dispel it right away by noting. In this way, there should be prevention and curing the defilements by the practice of mindfulness. As much mindfulness one has, the mind will be guarded, protected, there will be security away from defilements, and the mind will be calm and collected. If there is mindfulness and concentration for 1 minute, there will be 60 moments. The mind is being free from these priyuttana kilesa, obsessive defilements. Being mindful for 5 minutes, there will be 300 moments. The mind is pure and clean, away from defilements. And in 1 hour, there will be 3,600 moments of purity, being away from defilements. But in the beginning of the practice, the mindfulness is not continuous. There are gaps or breaks between the mindfulness. If there is lack of mindfulness, the defilements will arise. And when these defilements arise, one should cure it right away. So in this way, one should be preventing the defilements from arising, curing the defilements if they arise by viriya, sati, and samadhi, effort, mindfulness, and concentration. Developing viriya, sati, and samadhi, effort, mindfulness, and concentration, the mind will be pure, clean, tame, and cultured. Having effort, mindfulness and concentration, the mind is being pure, clean, tamed, not wanting to take other people's belongings by force, not wanting to commit sexual misconduct, not wanting to lie, and so on. So there will not be any rudeness in the mind. Having effort, mindfulness, and concentration. So when the mind is free from priyuttana kilesa, obsessive defilements, there will be joy and happiness, having purity, cultured and gentle body and speech. So one gains happiness. The kind of happiness one gains from sensual pleasure, it is called kama sukha, sensual pleasure. It is also called mila sukha, polluted, impure happiness, which is compared to feces. The example is given here, just as a pig loves to eat feces. In the same way, the sensual pleasure is compared to impure happiness that is compared to feces. The kind of happiness by being free from sensual happiness is called nikkama sukha, renunciation happiness. Being free from kilesa defilement, there will be vipassana sukha, happiness of tranquility. And developing knowledge, there will be sambodha sukha, happiness gained through developing of knowledge. Sambodha sukha manifests especially at the stage starting from udayataya jnana. When vipassana becomes mature, finally one attains the cessation, nibbana, and at that stage, sambodha sukha becomes high class sambodha sukha. And at that stage, the happiness will be amazingly great. Such kind of happiness gained through the Dhamma excels many times than the worldly happiness that excels many times than the sensual happiness. Realizing the happiness of the Dhamma, that it excels many times than the sensual happiness, one will cherish and value the Dhamma happiness, and one will even become more encouraged to practice, and one gains even more culture in body, speech, and mind. When the yogi practices developing knowledge into mind and matter, cause and effect, impermanent suffering and non-self, yogi gains happiness. And such kind of happiness can arise by developing sila, samadhi, and panya, morality, concentration, and wisdom. Every moment or any noting that the yogi is able to be mindful effectively, noting effectively, involves three kinds of sikha, three kinds of training, sila, samadhi, and panya. So for each moment of mindfulness, noting the object effectively, three trainings will be involved, and it is very precious and valuable. If the yogi is not practicing respectfully, yogi is losing to develop the three trainings, sila, samadhi, and panya, which is very precious. And by practicing respectfully, yogi gains the three trainings Sila, Samadhi, and Panya, and Yogi becomes virtuous. Yogi becomes virtuous as much one can prevent and refrain from the defilement. As much there is prevention, curing, suppressing, and uprooting the defilement, one's body, speech, and mind will be pure and clean, and one becomes even more virtuous, and one will be prestigious and beautiful when one's body, speech, and mind become purified. Only by the practice of the three trainings, Sila, Samadhi, and Panya, one can become virtuous. Without the three trainings, Sila, Samadhi, and Panya, one can never be virtuous or uplifted. Practicing Satipatthana meditation, being mindful moment by moment, one gains the quality, one gains the state of being virtuous, and one is uplifting one's life. So only through the practice of Satipatthana meditation, developing the three trainings, Sila, Samadhi, Panya, can one uplift one's life. Buddha himself had eradicated the three stages of defilement. Buddha compared the three stages of defilement with illness. As there are three stages of defilement, which are compared to illness, the remedy will be Sila, Samadhi, and Panya, morality, concentration, and wisdom. These three trainings are the remedy to the kilesa illness. Buddha himself practiced Sila, Samadhi, morality, concentration, perfecting the parami in the life of Buddha to be. And the parami perfection become matured, and in the last life, Buddha practiced Satipatthana meditation and eradicated all the three stages of kilesa defilement. Sanusaya kilesa vyadi harana samathaya, meaning that Buddha eradicated all stages of defilement illness together with the latent dormant defilement. As Buddha eradicated all the defilement illness, Buddha was compared to a skillful physician. Sanusaya kilesa vyadi harana samathataya kusalo miya vijo. Buddha himself uprooted all the defilements by the practice of Sila, Samadhi, and Panya, morality, concentration, and wisdom. Buddha himself practiced the three trainings and eradicated the defilements, and Buddha prescribed these three medicines so that other beings can cure the defilement illness. Karaka sevahi katha visesato adepetasa sadini, meaning that the teaching of the Buddha, the teaching of only the Buddha who himself practiced, can give outstanding benefit to the being, meaning that Buddha himself practiced the three trainings, and thus Buddha was called Karaka, the person who practiced himself. Because Buddha himself practiced the three trainings, only the teachings of the Buddha who practiced himself can give outstanding benefit to the other beings. So it also implies that the teachings of others who are not practical, who are imaginary, cannot bring outstanding benefits. As there are 3 illnesses, 3 stages of defilement, there are 3 kinds of medicine prescribed in order to cure the defilement illness. So these 3 kinds of medication are Sila, Samadhi, and Panya, morality, concentration, and wisdom. Buddha was compared to a skillful physician, and thus beings take refuge in the Buddha who was skillful in curing the defilement illness. Samapayutta Vesajamiva Dhammo. The teachings that the Buddha taught are compared to the correctly prepared medicine. So in the olden days, the physicians, they prepared the medicine themselves and they prescribed the medicine that they themselves had prepared. But nowadays, the physician gives the medicine that has been already prepared by medicine companies. Buddha is compared to the physician who himself prepared the medicine to cure others. So Buddha himself prepared the 3 kinds of medicine, Sila, Samadhi, and Panya. Buddha prepared systematically. Buddha arranged these 3 medicines systematically and prescribed to other beings so that other beings could cure the defilement illness by taking the medicine regularly, correctly. The monks as well as the devotees who take the 3 medications systematically, regularly, were cured from the defilement illness. And Saraji will continue to explain the next day. Sadhu, 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 sadhu.